IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast, the bite-sized podcast filled with quick and easy actionable habits. Remember, great habits create that awesome life. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. And today's fun fact of the day has to do with the Ramayana. Did you know that there is some debate with regards to the symbolism behind the 10 heads of Ravana? One school of thought believes that because Ravana was a great scholar, the 10 heads represent the 4 Vedas and the 6 Shastras, the symbolisms of knowledge and learning. Another school of thought believes that the 10 heads represent the 10 negative emotions that exist. Ego, attachment, regret, anger, hatred, fear, jealousy, greed, lust, inertia, or insensitivity. The beauty of the Ramayana is that it portrays the main characters in so many different ways, the positive sides of them and the negative sides of them. The essence is the interpretation of these beautiful epic stories. For example, the way Ravana is worshipped in Sri Lanka versus in India. And I'm no expert on the subject, but I do find it amazing. I'm writing this podcast on Dasera. My phone has been buzzing all morning with messages of good conquering evil, good over bad. So I got inspired by this conversation and decided to work on a podcast because even in habits, the word good and bad is used. Bad habits are seen as evil things. He smokes, or she drinks. Evil things that must be gotten rid of. Evil things that have no ounce of good in them. However, the truth is that bad habits are not always pure evil. Bad habits, just like the characters in the Ramayana, have aspects of good and aspects of bad. Bad habits formed because at some point we had a need for them. My bad habit of stress eating started as a defense mechanism for when I had no other way to comfort me. Stuffing my face helped me at that point. Later on, of course, it was bad or evil, but it was needed at that point of time. Once I was stronger in other aspects of my life, and the habit of stress eating was having a big negative impact on my body and mind, it became a bad habit. That's when I learned to let go of it, defeat it, and move on. As your habit coach, I want you to be able to recognize what these habits are that are affecting your life negatively and learn to defeat them. There are many different steps and ways that you can do this. Today, I want to talk about one in particular. All our bad habits have multiple starting points or triggers. There is never just one thing that causes you to initiate that bad habit. These are like the multiple heads of Ravana. You cut one off and now you have another one to deal with. For example, the habit of smoking. One trigger could be meeting a coworker. Another trigger could be going to the toilet in the morning. Another trigger could be sitting at home alone, etc. You see, this one habit has so many heads or starting points. I talk about giving up sugar because that was my bad habit. And this too had multiple triggers. Feeling sad was a trigger. Or celebrating was a trigger. Feeling tired after a long day of work again was a trigger. Seeing chocolates around the house was another trigger. The point I'm making is that if you have to defeat this bad habit, you have to defeat each individual trigger, each individual head. Learn to recognize when this trigger is growing and what you can do about it. Prepare for it beforehand. So step 1 is to identify all the triggers for a bad habit. Actually make a list of them in your book or on your phone. It could be a person, a place, a time of day, or even a feeling or an emotion. Step 2 is to spend time thinking of ways to replace or break this trigger. Step 3, get rid of all the triggers from this bad habit and you will see that the bad habit no longer exists. Make sure no new trigger pops up in this process. So your super simple habit for destroying your bad habits starts by making a list of all the triggers this habit has. Make a nice long list of these triggers so that you can then focus on getting rid of them one by one. Remember, not everything is black and white. Not everything is pure good or pure evil. There is always a mix of the two. So learn when a habit has stopped serving you. when it has started to cause harm. Then start by getting rid of these triggers, the metaphorical multiple heads of a bad habit. So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome 180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I also just wanted to ask everybody if they could go to the website, ivmpodcast.com/survey, and fill out a quick survey for us. It would be much appreciated. What a week we had this week. We had so much crossover, so many great guests. I don't even know where to start. Okay, yeah, I do know where to start. Let's start with Uncle Please Sit. Uncle Please Sit, Joel and Tushar had Hamsini Hariharan. Hamsini hosts a show called States of Anarchy with their network. She is a China expert, and they discussed the India-China relationship. Really fascinating conversation. Cyrus had 2 conversations this week instead of our normal Thursday Cock and Bull. Great conversations, both of them. We'll be back with our regular Cock and Bull next week. But this week, you could definitely check out the conversation he had with Varun Grover. Really fascinating stuff. And Nikhil Taneja, who was the founder of Yuva and the creative director for the India Film Project Festival, which is going on this weekend. He was on the show as well. Cyrus was also on Advertising is Dead this weekend with Varun Dugirala. Cyrus and Varun discussed Cyrus's intent on randomness. Ranveer Brar guested on Gauri Devi Dayal show. This rounds on me. Another amazing conversation over there. Priyanka Khimani, one of the best IP lawyers in this country, was on Storytellers and Storysellers for a fascinating conversation. Definitely do check that out. And finally, I wanted to congratulate Zarina Poonawala for her 100th episode. She had Ashish Vidyarthi as a guest on that. If you have not been listening to the Empowering series, please do. It's one of the great shows out there. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
Whether you're an established sports person or a budding one, or simply a sports enthusiast, join us, Tanvi and Shlok.
We are 2 passionate pro badminton players talking policy, mindset and everything sport.
So tune in to the Millennial Athlete every Monday.
Only on the IVM Podcast Network.
Trust us, it's gonna be lit.